friends, it's that time of year again to do the chore of brewing beer, and I've been brewing beer for 29 years now, and the reason I brew beer myself is because the quality of homemade beer is generally better than what you can buy. I live in an area with a lot of very good microbreweries, but I can still do better, and the other thing is beer is quite expensive. The beer that I make costs me about as much as, maybe even less than, the cheapest beer you can buy, and the quality is better than the best beer that you can buy. So that's why I brew beer. I've been doing it long enough that it's not a hobby that I really like to spend my time with and spend my money on. I view it more as a chore, but the rewards are worth it. So I will get started, and the first thing that I need to do is grind the grain. Oh, by the way, this is a barley crusher, just a water jug, holds more grain. Today I'm brewing a brewer pot alt beer, similar to a Dusseldorf alt beer, but darker and stronger.
product that I'm pouring in is malt. It is barley that has been sprouted and then dried. Some of that barley has been roasted to make it dark, and there are different ways of roasting that give different flavors. Essentially, what I'm trying to do is create a coarse meal by grinding it. The mill has a kind of two rollers that have, they're very rough and they rip through the grain. The idea is to break it in half and sort of create bits that water can get to. So that's what I'm trying to do. And almost done. This amount of grain is for 15 gallons of beer. That's the result. I will put more water than that in there, but the resulting beer that I will get in my kegs is about 15 gallons. So that's pretty much it for milling the grain. You can kind of see there are bits, there are halves, there are some dark pieces, there are some light pieces. I've got a variety of different grains, 2 base malts, Munich and two-row, and 4 different roasted malts. And this is my barley crusher malt mill, fairly simple. Just put a drill on it, and that's what turns it. And you can see the 2 rollers, knurled, I guess that's called, and those are what rips the barley malt apart. So that's it for milling. Okay, I'm going to start on the second step in brewing, and that is the mash. And essentially what the mash is I heat up water to a very specific temperature and put the water in the malt, in the milled malt. And just a few things about water. I've got this stick here that tells me how many gallons of water I have in here. You may not be able to see it, but there are little notches cut into the stick with a pipe cutter, and I basically used a gallon milk jug and poured a gallon in and made a mark, poured a gallon in, made a mark, etc. until I got it. The very top there is 15 gallons. I have a little bit of water to add to get it to 11 gallons there. And that's my recipe, 11 gallons. I'm adding it to, I think about 35 pounds of grain, 36 maybe. And this is for a 15-gallon batch. And the water is Lake Michigan water. It is municipal water. It is sand filtered. It is chlorinated, which is not so good. I don't fill this out of the garden hose. I carry it with pails out of the basement. The garden hose adds a little bit of flavor. I do add some brewing salts and about a teaspoon per 5 gallons of calcium chloride. I hope that's right. I'm not real big on chemistry. That's really something that I tried, and I thought it improved the quality. So I will get started. I'm going to be heating this up, and I'm going to be heating it up to 169 degrees, and then I will connect a hose and fill up the mash tun, let it drain into the mash tun. So I'm using a propane system. What I'm doing here is the first step of the mash, which is called the strike. And there is the strike and the sparge. The strike is where you add water the first time, you wet it down, you heat it up, and you let it sit, and then you drain it. And then the sparge is essentially a rinse, where you do something similar, but you're trying to rinse the grain and get more of the sugars out of it. So I will get going here. Got a thermometer here. My goal is 159. I also have a more accurate thermometer, although this one is actually quite good. But this one is easier to look at. The other one is more of a scientific thermometer. But I do check the more accurate one when I get down to the strike temperature. Here's a more accurate scientific thermometer in a case, and I'll be trying to hit 159 degrees F as close as I can. Basically that involves looking at the thermometer and turning off the heat at exactly the right moment. So that's it. From here on, it's just waiting until the water gets to the right temperature. So I checked my recipe book, and I think I gave you the wrong temperature. It's 169 degrees Fahrenheit that I'm looking for. And that's the temperature in here. By the time it gets in here and the grain cools it down and the cooler takes the heat out of it, it should be right around 150. So that's, according to my recipe. It's always better to look at the recipe. So right now, looks like I'm at 162.
What's on my wish list is a burner that's a little bit faster. I've been basically waiting for, I don't know, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes for this to heat up. Over 68, it's right at 169. No more propane. So I'm using a hose to transfer. It's for convenience and repeatability of recipe. You could pour that out into a pail and then pour it in here. That would be just fine. This is, the equipment is not required. Just trying to make sure it gets started here. Dropping. Not moving yet. Gonna get an airlock sometimes. So you kind of wrestle with it a little bit to encourage it to get started. Now it's going. Sometimes you can hear it, but I just move it around until it starts. And that's it. Now just let it transfer. It's dropping. And the temp right now is just under 170. So that's perfect. So this will take a few minutes. More waiting time. Okay, so the strike water just finished transferring from the keggle or the keg burner on the left to the cooler on the right, and this is the strike. Here you can see
what I've got there, I've got a stainless steel screen baskets, I guess you'd say, on that keeps any debris from going through. I've got the same thing on the bottom of this. And here's what's going on here. This is intended to be a dark beer, that's why I've got so much roast barley in there. So I'm going to stir that up and then take the temperature and basically let it sit for 90 minutes. I've got this ladle, I made it myself. It's a piece of aluminum bar and a little stainless steel bowl, which is bolted together, and this thing works great. I could not find a ladle that was sturdy enough. I had a good one that was aluminum, but it broke, so I made my own, and I've been using this for many years. So I'm trying to make sure all of the grain is wet, and I'm also trying to transfer heat a little bit, because you get hot spots and you get cold spots in the corners. Just trying to make sure it's kind of even throughout. It's 37 pounds of grain. 11 gallons of water. You can see it's full. Okay. So a lot of times the first temperature you read is not really accurate because the heat has to move throughout the grain. It's looking like 143, 145, and it's rising slowly. In the next 10 minutes I would expect that the temperature is going to even out within the grain, and should end up right at about 150. So I'm going to set my timer, and for 90 minutes, and basically wait. This is the mash. The technical things that are happening here are enzymes are breaking down the sugars or the carbohydrates into sugar, and the temperature is very important. Essentially, this is, a basic understanding is we're making a tea with grain, and we're doing it at a very specific temperature. My goal is 150 degrees Fahrenheit, and yeah, it's still at 145, but typically what happens is it'll rise up a little bit in the next few minutes. So, more waiting time. So my beer dungeon is a real mess, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. On the left there you see a carboy that has about 2 gallons in it. That is my starter. I made beer a week ago, only 2 gallons, and added the yeast, and that let that ferment out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to shake that up real good and put it in those 2 others, trying to get about 1/3 in each of those 3 carboys. I would say I'm using plastic carboys. Better Bottles is the name. I really recommend that you do not use glass carboys. They can break. They're very dangerous. You see the carboy on the left has a blow-off tube. Also always use blow-off tubes. The foam will just push out of the tube and into the pail on the left there, and save you a lot of cleanup. One thing that I'm doing while I'm waiting for the mash is I weighed out the hops, and I'm using a combination of Pearl and Hallertauer in this recipe, and I weighed them out on the washing machine, and my wife appreciates that I use a towel, and if I don't use a towel I hear about it. I'm also sanitizing a funnel and some blow-off tubes, and the type of sanitizer that I use is Star San. This stuff is easy to use, and I definitely recommend it. Haven't had too many problems. So that's it. Here's my wonderful beer dungeon. I will go around the corner here. You see I've got cornies. I think I got almost a dozen corny kegs here, and this is my cooler. Sorry, it's extremely dark here. You can't see anything, I'm sure. But I've got carbon dioxide in there, and there, maybe this will work. I got CO2 tank and one corny, which blew empty yesterday, and I've got one bottle of alt beer left. So now you understand why I have decided to start to brew again, because I'm out of beer. Okay, it's about 60 minutes into the mash, and we're right at 150, and I got 30 more minutes to go in this mash, but it takes a while to heat up the sparge water, and I got 10 gallons of sparge water in here. I'm going to start the fire now so that by the time I'm done draining the wort out of the mash tun, that I'm ready with the hot water to come in and sparge, and which is basically the rinse and the final drain to create wort. Wort becomes beer when you add yeast. So here we go. Just going to heat up some water and then sit around and wait for a while. Okay, it's been 90 minutes in the mash, and the thermometer reads exactly 150 degrees, so the temperatures came out very well. The next step is really to drain the mash, and let me adjust the camera a little bit. Do is the first bit of wort is probably going to have a lot of sediment in it, so I'll just let that run for a while, and I'm going to put that back in. I'm going to let it run for a minute or two until it clears out. Now we'll start the real
about 155 right now. I don't think that the sparge water temperature is very critical. I might be wrong, but sparge water temperature, I'm shooting for 180. I know it should be a little bit hotter than the initial strike water, so I'm going to do 180. But I don't know that it really makes a lot of difference in flavor of the beer. I haven't really done any testing on it, but kind of a guess. Sparge water also does not need to be in for 90 minutes. Basically, I put it in, I stir it up a bit, I let it sit for maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes at the most, and then bring it out. We're on the strike water, the initial mash here, not the sparge. The initial mash grain, this is has more sugars. It's stronger than the later wincing sparge. So this would make much stronger beer than the second one. It all gets put together in one batch with my system. It's very important to set the mash tun at a height where your pails fit underneath. When using this system anyway. Kind of an easy method because, I only need one boil keg, or boil kettle. I only need the cooler mash tun. This is it. I also have my fermentation vessels, but I don't need the hot liquor tun. I don't need a lot of the more complicated equipment that I don't need a pump. That's a big deal. Just by lifting the buckets up and pouring them into the keg saves me a lot of trouble. Pumps are convenient, but you have to clean them, and they occasionally get clogged. I wouldn't mind doing it with that type of a system, but you're looking at over $100 starting with a pump, and then you need tubing and quick disconnects, and then you got to store it when you're not using it. So I don't mind lifting a bucket of wort and pouring it in the keg. I don't mind that, and it makes my system a lot simpler, which is important to me. I don't do this as a hobby. I do it really just to make some decent beer. So I'm going to let this drain for a while, and we'll come back when we're ready to put the sparge water into the mash tun.
Okay, I got two very full buckets of wort, those two right there, and that's from the first runnings. And now what I'm going to do, I've got my sparge water, and sparge water is set up at 180, and I'm going to transfer it into the mash. seems to be going. So I'm almost out of propane. Always important to have an extra bottle of propane. And this will take a little while as soon as that's drained. I will stir it, and I will also come back and pour these 2 buckets of wort into the keggle to start the boil. Okay, the first runnings are still draining into the mash tun, and it's starting to fill up. And I'm just going to help break up the mash, or the malt. Grains is what a lot of times we call it, but technically it's a malt, or at this point it's a mash. You can see that it almost looks like the cooler is going to overflow here. And the reason is that I try to max out what my equipment can do. I'm doing a 15-gallon brew, and that means my cooler gets filled all the way. And this is a, oh boy, I think it's 70 quart. I just had a sticker on it that told me what it was. It is, I think it's a 70 quart. But, so this is the rinsing action. These grains have already gone through the initial mash. They've had their enzymes working away to convert carbs into sugar, makes it easier for the yeast to turn that into alcohol. Okay. It's pretty full. So I hope that there's a little bit of water in there yet. Let it go for a little while. Pretty full. You notice at this point I'm not really that concerned about sanitation. And the reason is that at this point everything that's going in the beer is going to be boiled. And I'm concerned about leaves falling in the beer. But I'm concerned with this from the point of view as a food product. I don't want to let anything in there that might hurt people, and I want this to be a sanitary process. However, the part about being extremely sanitary to avoid infections, that happens after the boil. That's when you really have to be concerned about that. So my cooler is really full. There's not a lot of water in here, but I'll just let it go. According to my spreadsheet, I've got about 0.2 gallons more than more wort than what I need. And it's kind of a disaster when water starts pouring over the edge of the cooler. If I were to close this top now, it might do that. So I think I might just call it quits here.
if I can get any more water out. No, it's almost empty. So I don't want any water, extra water in my beer. From this point on, I've worked very hard to maximize the sugar content and the grain, protein, or whatever content, and get water out of there. So I do not want to dilute that at all. I'm working very hard to keep that completely as high as possible. Always remember to turn your valves off before you put product in here. Alright, first runnings are in the pot, and I just want to check. I got 8 gallons. 8 gallons in the first running. Let me just check to make sure that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. Misread. 10, 9, 8, 7, 5, 6, 7. 7. So now this is why I double check my work. Okay, now this is first part of the sparge, and this is going to be kind of muddy. I'm going to pour that back in. You can see it's a lot less dark. But that cooler was very full. I could not fit much more than that in there. So that's starting to clear up a little bit. I generally make more wort than I need, but not much. When you make more wort than you need, you're wasting the malt. Propane. rig up to no more than 14 gallons. That leaves me 1 gallon, 1.5 gallons of space. Because what happens when you start to boil it, when it comes to a boil, you get a hot break, which is a lot of foam at one time. And it also happens when you put hops in. And if you're not careful, it makes a huge mess. It doesn't hurt the beer, but it makes a huge mess. So you've got to leave yourself some room for the foam. And you got to watch it when it starts to boil. You got to stir it. You got to turn the heat down. So I'm just letting the spark water drain, and I'll keep putting that water in there until I get to a height of 14 gallons. And anything after that, I will reserve it. I will keep pulling water, spark water out. And actually, that's wort at this point. And I'm going to do a little trick to get 15 gallons of beer when I'm done boiling. So that's where I'm at. I'll get back with you when I've got my keg full and maybe my cooler is empty. Okay, so we're on the boil here. We're raising the temperature to get this up to a boil, and you can see the keg is pretty much full. There are 14 gallons in here, and I've got the thermometer. I'm not really worried about how hot I get this, but I want to know when the boil starts, because what happens is as soon as it starts boiling, it starts foaming up, and you got to turn down the heat and you got to stir it. So I am watching the thermometer to get an idea of when it's going to boil. The mash tun right now is kind of piddling away. Just had a little bit of drips. A lot of people would just shut it off, but I measured the gravity of the last runnings, the last drips, and found that it was quite a bit higher than the middle of the sparge. So I generally try to keep those and try to get everything out of the brew that I can. So that's it. I'll get back with you when this starts to boil. Hopefully I'll be able to hold the camera with one hand and take care of stirring and turning down the heat with the other. So we still have a little ways to go here, but the key is to be able to read the foam. You're going to start to see some bubbles. You're going to start to see the foam rise up a little bit and move around as it gets pushed back and forth by the bubbles. That is the kind of thing that you need to be very aware of. And then what you got to do is you got to look and make sure that you got your stirring ladle or spoon or whatever you use, and you also have to look at your propane, and you got to say, okay, to turn that off I got to do, turn it which way, and just make sure you know how to turn it off. And the first thing you're going to want to do is hit the propane, just turn it off, and then you're going to want to stir until you can stop it. I guess we're pretty close. It could be a few minutes yet. So I'll just keep you watching here. If you ever brew on the stovetop, this is what you need to fear the most, because what happens if it boils over, the foam drips down the side of the pan, gets on the burners, and just bakes in horribly. And I think just about everybody has to learn this the hard way on their own, but respect the boil over.
Just when you get bored, get tired of watching it, just when you think it's never going to happen, just when you turn away, walk away to get a drink, sit down for just a minute. I'm sure this is the most boring video you've ever seen. But in a minute, I'm going to have to jump into action to prevent, not really a disaster here because I'm brewing over dirt, but it's definitely bakes itself onto your burner. Visitor. Thermometer says it's time. I have a theory about the hot break. I think that the hot break has to happen. I think that it's going to happen no matter what you do. And I don't think that there's really a lot that you should do to stop it. I think it's probably actually good. And that hot break turns into sediment that goes into the bottom of the barrel or the kegel, and does not go in your beer. I don't really, I mean, I'm not the scientist type, but I just have my theories, and you know, I've been brewing for 29 years, so I know some things work and some things don't. Okay, I'm seeing something happen there. The keg is filling up. Especially there by the thermometer. Okay, there it is. Propane out. Stir. So that was not too dramatic, right? That's because I've been through this too many times. And I know what happens. If I would have waited 10 seconds, there would have been a Niagara of foam going down to my burner. And it will probably do this 3 or 4 times, and I'm not going to hold the camera up here the whole time. But basically, at this point, I expect to turn the burner on, see it foam up, turn the burner off, stir it, and do that at least 3 to 5 times. So I'm going to get to work on that and get back with you soon. Okay, so at this point it's been boiling about 5 minutes. The threat of boil over is pretty much gone until you add more wort or until you add hops. I am going to be doing a 90-minute boil. The reason I do that long boil is to try to concentrate the wort, concentrate the sugars, concentrate all those things that make body and flavor. And I just find I've had better success with longer mashes and longer boils. Typically you'll get a recommendation for 60-minute mash, 60-minute boil, and I just go with 90. I'm looking at what's going on here. You see I have maybe 3 gallons in this pail, 3 gallons of wort, and maybe a half gallon in that pail, and it's still kind of dripping away out of the mash tun. And I'm going to wait 30 minutes until I add some hops, and then continue on with the boil. Okay, I'm in a 90-minute boil now. The boil has been going on for 30 minutes, so now starts the countdown to flame out, and that's important because of the hop addition schedule. This beer is very simple. I just put all my hops in 60 minutes prior to flame out, and I'm done with hops. Quite often beers will have 60-minute hop addition, 5-minute hop addition, 1-minute hop addition, because the different length of boil time affects how the hop tastes. The 60-minute boil is a bittering hop, because after that long of a boil, all the floral and herbal tastes are pretty much boiled out. The 5-minute and 1-minute are aroma, flavor and aroma. So what I've got 4 ounces. Let's take a look at the boil. This is what's going on here. I've got 4 ounces of leaf hop. You can kind of see how much that is. And I'm going to turn down the flame. Turn down the flame just a little bit while I add hops, because it does tend to boil up sometimes. Smells good. That's it. I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit, and we're going to basically watch and see if we get what kind of boil over. This brew is made of 2-row and Munich, and that does not seem to boil over as badly as when I did Pilsner in Munich. So I'm pretty happy about that. The Pilsner is very foamy, especially when you get it up in the 1.060 gravity range. So anyway, I'm going to be letting this boil for 60 minutes, and at 30 minutes I'm going to come back and kind of do my wort addition, which is kind of a secret trick, I guess. So hang in there. You'll get to see it. Okay, the mash tun is still dripping, but I'm going to shut it down because I got to clean out the mash tun. So if you take a look, here's the wort I have left over. So maybe 3 gallons and a little bit. And in order to clean out the mash tun, basically what I'm going to do is scoop out that used spent grain, put it in a pail, and dump it in a compost pile and far away from the house. So that's what I'm up to. This is the type of fitting I have inside the cooler. Basically, it's a stainless steel mesh screen. It's kind of a basket type thing, and that's pretty much what keeps the grain in and lets the liquid out. Okay, I got about 25 minutes left in the boil, and if you look at the dipstick, I'm at about, let's see, 15, 14, 13, 12 and a half gallons in the kegel right now. So we boiled off about a gallon and a half. So what I'm going to do, and I still have this 3.5 gallons of wort here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull off some boiling wort, and I'm going to pull off, I guess I need to pull off to 10.5, and at 10.5 I'm going to add in that other wort, bring it back to a boil, and then finish the countdown. So let me get at it. Yeah, I'm at 12.5. So this wort has been boiling in a little over an hour and has had hops in it for 30 minutes, 35 minutes, something like that. So for most brewers, this wort would be considered done. Okay, 15, 14, 13, 12. This is how I get a half-barrel brewery, even though I just have a kegel, which is 15.5. That's a half barrel, but you know, usually you can't brew to the very top of your vessel. Okay, get close. Working with boiling wort is a little unsafe. So I do have a cap for it. Now I can add the unused wort. I'm right back up to 14, and I'm stopping my timer. I'm going to stop the timer until it starts to boil again. And actually, right now I've got 18 minutes, so I'm going to bump it up to 30. Because that wort that I just put in, I want that to boil for at least 30 minutes. So that's the trick. Now I've got 14 plus 3, so I've got 17 gallons of wort that I'll be able to put in my fermenters. And basically what I do is I pour the cooked wort into this vessel as it's draining into the fermenter through the cooler. Got a little bit of a shower going on, so I had to put the cap on. That cap is actually an old Moon hubcap that happens to be stainless steel and keeps the rain out. Okay, the boil is pretty much over. I boiled the original brew for 30 minutes. Then I added hops and boiled it for 30 minutes. Then I withdrew 3 gallons and reserved those, and added 3.5 gallons and boiled that for 30 minutes. So we've got a little rainstorm. Not a problem. All I can say is it's not snowing, because I used to brew smaller batches and I would have to brew once or twice a month, and it was not unusual to be brewing in very cold weather. So this is a counterflow chiller, and what that means is cold water is running through this hose, and then inside the hose this smaller copper tube has hot wort coming through, and that hot wort is going to be coming from here. What I need to do with this is I need to sterilize it. We are currently at a point that it's boiling, it's sterile, but I'm going to chill it, and everything inside this cooler needs to be pretty much sterilized. So what I'm going to do, and I still have the flame on, I'm going to start to run some wort through it. Now, I always run boiling water in this after I use it, so the first stuff that comes out is going to be water. But I got to let the hot wort sterilize the inside of this chiller. I don't have the water running, and I'm going to throw away this first bit. There's some sediment, there's a bug. Oh my. Now I've got wort coming through. The first part was just water, and it's heating up. So one downside about this chiller is that it is quite slow, and I can tell you that it'll probably take an hour and a half, which I won't completely bore you with. I need to give this about a minute or two to heat up to boiling temperatures. That's just something that needs to be done. And you do lose some wort by doing this. After I run this initial wort through, now I'd say that's good. I'm going to discard this, but then I'm going to run more through, but I'm going to keep it and return it. So let me still dripping here. Boiling. Boiling hot. So now I'm going to run some more. You definitely want this sterilized. You can hear the rain. I'm under a tree right now, so I'm not really getting rained on. I do have a cap for this, but I don't know. A few drops of rainwater isn't going to hurt it. Okay, while that is filling, I'm going to go get my fermentation vessel. Alright, so here's the fermentation vessel. What I did was, a week ago, I brewed about 2-3 gallons and started some yeast, some Dusseldorf alt yeast, and I mixed it up really good and divided it between 3 carboys, and that is my starter. Okay, that thing should be sterilized by now. And notice I'm still boiling. And what I'm going to do now is turn on the water. Okay, there's water going through the outer part of it. And I'm filling a bucket for cleaning. And it's cooling off fairly quickly. See, it's already cool here. That's the important location. Oh, let's see, I've got to do a few things at the same time here. Still dripping. This gets moved. This is sanitizing solution, by the way. Okay, I got water running in the sanitizing solution, and okay, still got it cooking, and now it's now I've got wort pouring into the fermenter. I'm returning this wort that I used to sanitize. Okay, The temperature, cool, cool. I'm putting chilled wort into the fermenter. Just dealing with the cooling water. A lot of times I put the cooling water right down the driveway, so it goes down into the storm drain. So what I've got here is sanitizing solution. This is being sanitized. As well as my hands. It's a good idea to keep your hands cleaned up. For me is when I get when this thing drops down to where I can fit 3 gallons in, then I'm going to add that wort that I reserved back in there. And notice I still have the burner going. I don't think it's boiling. It is boiling yet, or almost boiling. I'm going to fill this fermenter probably to here. I think I can fill all 3 fermenters to 6 gallons. And I will be using a blow-off system because this will very likely create a lot of foam and blow off into the pail. If I were to just use a bubbler, I would just blow a lot of foam through the bubbler and would be very sad and disappointed with my brew. So I'm going to do this for a little while, and I will get back when I add the additional wort. Okay, I'm going to add the wort now. I've got almost 3 gallons in the fermenter. All right. So that's the big secret. I mean, it's not really that big of a deal, but it allows me to make bigger batches with just limited equipment. You know, it allows me to do a little bit more beer per batch than I normally could, and I basically brew one season of the year. I intend to do this 5 more times and fill all my fermentation vessel and storage vessels, which are 5-gallon cornies. I've got about 60 gallons, and then I don't really brew the rest of the year, and that's why I'm trying to go with these little bit larger brews. It saves me from having to work doing this every other week, or once a month, or every other week, which is what I used to do. I used to have a 5-gallon system, and it was just taking up a lot of time. I had other things that I wanted to do. So that's it. I got 2 more fermenters to fill up. You'll notice that it's going quite slow. It's a 1/4 inch tube right here, and this, I think I really need to make a 3/8 inch counterflow chiller. I think definitely well worth the investment. That's one of the two big things I'd like to do. Faster counterflow chiller, hotter burner. That would save me a lot of time. I mean, I've been working, I don't know, I think I started about 10, and it's probably 3:30, 4 o'clock, I don't really know, but it's definitely 8 to 10 hours easily. That's what I'm used to, and it's, as I said, it's a chore. Okay. Okay, so there's the first fermenting vessel, total of 6 gallons. There was probably a half gallon or maybe a little more, 2/3 of a gallon from the starter. I only got 2 more to go. It's a very pleasant rainstorm out here. So just checking out the gravity here. It looks like it is, oops, about 1.060. Come on, focus. There we go. 1.060 is what I would call it. I actually was going for less than that, but I think the long boil is what did it. Still working on fermentation vessel number 2 at this point. Slow game. Alright, there's carboy number 2. 1 more to go. Okay, so here's my haul. I miscalculated a little bit. Should have gone with about 5.5 gallons in each one, and I may take a siphon and pump over to kind of equalize the levels. That will be less foam lost on the 2 to the left, and that'll help me with siphoning when they're done into the corny kegs. Okay, after the rain, just finished this up. And what you got in there is a bunch of soggy hops. That's pretty much it. And I will dump those. Got to turn my cooling water off. And a little bit of cleanup. I got quite a bit of it done while I was waiting. And that will make it a day. So still got a little bit of cleanup work to do, but that was pretty much it. So most of the cleanup is just, you know, typical doing the dishes, but I do have to run boiling hot water through the chilling coil, counterflow chiller, and also the hose that I use to fill the mash tun. So I'm boiling up some more water to do that. Okay, so it's boiling. And that 2 hoses to clear. I have this fitting here that fits into the quick disconnect. That lets water through. Sometimes an airlock in the bottom of that. There you go. Now it's gone. Okay, forgot my gloves. This is a little too hot to deal with bare hands. So this has boiled water in it, and it's sealed. Quick disconnects now. Seal both ends. So next time I brew, I will have pretty much sanitized water in here. And this one, all I really need to do, attach it. Make sure I catch boiling water because that'll kill the grass. And try to help it along. This is one. Sometimes this one doesn't like to go. Oops. Well, that actually might help. Yeah, that got it started. So, with that, there's wort coming out now. That's why it's important to do this every time. I always have this problem here. Anyway. Hairlax. Kind of working through. So it's done. And so I'm going to let that run and let it cool off. I'll run all the boiling water through it, let it cool off, and then basically pack it away until next week. Still running wort through, and it's clearing up. So there we go. Now all we have is boiled water running through there. And that's it. That's pretty much the end of cleanup. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back at it again next week. And early the next morning, here's what is happening. We've got blow off happening here, plenty of foam. And this is after about 12 hours roughly after finishing brewing.